My next question is on the.
This will have to be your last question.
This is my last question. $45,000 a year is considered a part-time salary in the charter.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
$45,000 a year is considered a part-time salary in this charter. How many people in Cuyahoga County do you think would consider that a part-time salary?
That's above the median level in Cuyahoga County.
So it's not really a part-time salary?
Again, we're getting into sort of a semantical discussion. I think
The chart is made up of words.
yes, indeed it is. But I would say that we'll see to what extent council people feel they need to put in 20 or 40 or 80 hours a week.
I can tell you in County Council District 7.
I don't think that the charter itself said part-time.
Oh, it does.
Does it actually use the word?
It actually does.
I appreciate your input, Mr.
Thank
Russo,
you.
but we do want to make sure that we have other members of the audience have the same opportunity. So are there other questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jim McCall. And again, I want to thank you because I know you're volunteers and you're doing a great job. You had mentioned in reference to when they asked about the election of council president that there would be discussion. Does it state in the charter, I don't know that, or have you decided what day do they get elected? Is it the day that they form?
Yeah, we believe that on day one, they will have to elect their officers.
Okay.
So that will be part of, one of the things that we anticipate doing is providing a script, an actual script that says, and now you do this, and now this person says this, and now this person says this. Now,
okay.
and I think one of those things is, and now you need to elect a president.
Okay, I don't know if a lot of people realize that when you said that they have to do it, and they said, well, there's going to be a lot of discussion. It has to happen the day that they form. They have to have a president.
They're elected in November.
But they can't vote until January 1st.
Right.
And they really can't meet until January 1st as a body.
They cannot meet as an
Elected
elected body.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
The next question I have is, when you talked about the subgroup to council, and then you also talked about the amount of money that the commissioners approve, $1,000. Is there any thought to raising that amount and giving an administrative to the people who run the departments, and then that the council would just pass a certain amount of budget to that area?
I think that's probably one of the things we're going to be looking at, also in conjunction with the Procurement and Public Works work group that is looking at, essentially what we're looking at is the back end of the contract approval process, and Procurement and Public Works is looking at the front end.
Okay.
And at some point, we're going to have to cross, and we think we're going to come at some different, perhaps, values or levels at which decisions can be made.
All right, thank you for your time, appreciate it.
I'd like to just say, as a business person, and a small business person for that matter, delegating authority, it's sort of an obvious thing to me, but we're working this isn't a business, it's a government agency, and there's a high premium on, I think particularly in context, there's a high premium on making sure that the decision-making is transparent and accountable. And so there's a sort of a tension between delegation and accountability that we have to make a recommendation that strikes a good balance on. And to me, that's the trick. There.
And I just wanted to add to that also is the public record, maintaining the public record and how we go about doing that, which is very important to all of us in county government.
Is there anyone else that hasn't had a chance to ask a question yet before we start another round?
Otherwise, it's me again.
Okay, thank you.
Two comments. One, it said, I didn't see it in the charter, but in the plain dealer, a statement was made that council will determine its own perks, benefits, and so forth. Any restrictions going to be applied there?
Lynn, can you speak in the microphone so we can hear you?
Oh, okay. It said in the plain dealer that council will determine their own benefits and perks and so forth. Any restrictions that can be placed, again, my cynicism, just look at Congress. The other question I have is, you said before that the duties of the appointed office are described in general terms at this point. At what point will they be specific, and who will specify their duties?
And my first response is, and you were taking the plain dealer as your source of, that was a joke, that was a joke. Yeah, I don't know what specifically article you're referencing that the plain dealer reported, or in the context in which they said. We don't know. The council has authority to set a whole lot of things, make decisions about a whole lot of things. I don't know that I don't know what the issue, and we haven't really gotten into a discussion of like their perks and their benefits. Again, there are restrictions on any independent access to a budget. They get reasonable expenses. You're right, people are going to argue about what that means. I would imagine the fiscal people will have some very conservative estimates of what reasonable expenses mean. Sure, go ahead.
Not that I believe it.
No,
But this is what's being disseminated.
I'm just joking.
This is what's being sent out to the public. It said, regardless of what the framers intended, elected council members will make their own decisions about how much to work, how many employees to hire, and whether to give themselves benefits. Now, that's not
that
valid.
is true.
The hiring included?
They are supposed to make a decision about hiring a staff as a whole. Now, you can elect 11 people who are going to say in a public meeting that it is our determination that we need 55 staff.
Will that
We
go-
all need 5 people to work for us.
Will that go through human resources?
No, that goes through the council. Now, I would suspect that might be a question that you want to ask your council candidates. Do they envision hiring 55 people? Because, one of the things they said is that this was going to save us money, so.
Well, my next question
Well,
with
wait,
that.
I
okay.
want to just add to that, because the real particularly when you asked, well, will it go through human resources? The real issue is who's the boss, right? You're the boss. And it's up to you and all of us to elect upstanding, capable people and then hold them accountable if we disagree with the decisions they make. But this is a democracy, and it's how it's supposed to run. To the extent that we are not holding our public officials accountable, then it's on us.
Okay, we can only do that at election time. What does human resources actually do? What do they have to do then with the hiring, firing, treatment of personnel?
In general, that's
hiring.
what they do. They human resources, in the broadest sense, has responsibility for policies that govern hiring and firing and work conditions and compensation policy and all of that. However, for an elected official, they are going to be governed by the Ohio Revised Code and the Charter and such rules and procedures and policies that they put into place. So they have significant leeway.
Again, Arlene McNamara, candidate for District 4, Parma Heights, et cetera. In response to some of these people's questions, all I can say is that I've spoken to several other candidates in other districts, and their feelings are similar to my own, although I can't speak for them. I know when I decided to run, I decided that we were going to look for ways to cut costs. That does not mean that I believe the county council should hire 5 people, nor anything. And I also know that I find I'm restricted by running in my district only, that the people in my district will feel that I have to answer only to them, where my thing is that, yes, I need to answer to you, the voter, but my role has to encompass the entire county. And therefore, they have to understand that, like one candidate said, oh, we should all be recruiters for businesses. Well, yes, I think that that's the municipal's role, and maybe we can help them, but we have to, as a body, consider the entire county. And yes, we will look out as much as we can, but I don't expect that someone's going to call me and say somebody didn't show up and pick up my trash or something like that. I mean, I really think that we have to look at this more globally. And as far as HR departments that I've worked with in the past, being a business person, they vet candidates. They will take 2 or 3 applicants and present them to the hiring manager and say, we've screened out 100 other candidates. Here's the ones that we think are our top 3. And those are the ones that the person who's doing the hiring then hasn't got to waste all the time on the 100 other candidates and can then look at the candidates that they have been vetted. That's my response.
Just to clarify, right now, the Board of County Commissioners has a Department of Human Resources that does precisely what you were talking about. What I believe people were asking was about council staff, and under the charter, it appears as if the council itself gets to hire its own staff as a whole. So it appears that that the hiring of that staff, whoever they are, whatever they do, whatever number it is hired by the council, not the Human Resource Commission or the Human Resources Department. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Since we were clarifying things, my name again is Ray Rosenberger, and before I asked that question, and I indicated previous question about the decision process to select the president being open, and I said, well, it dovetails with what this gentleman was asking about the responses on the recommendations you'll make, and the word I left out was rationale. In other words, what the gentleman was looking for was the rationale behind either accepting or rejecting a recommendation. And so the same holds true with really any decision that the body makes. What I would be looking for is not only the yay and the nay, but I also would be looking and hoping that you would recommend to them that their minute-taking and their decision process include the hard copy rationale behind the decision, because that's just as important as the decision itself. Thank you.
Yes, I'm back. The longer you sit here and listen, the more you think about to talk about. But Randy, I think I have a suggestion here. You know, I was sort of adamant about following what was going on, what was proposed within the charter, and I still think that the recommendations should focus on what was done by, what's in the charter. But also in the charter, almost immediately, we're opening up the looking at the next charter, the amendments to the charter. So
The
Randy,
Charter Review Commission.
Exactly. And so I want to come back and say that, yes, we do need to follow what's in the charter, but Randy, maybe the work groups and all of them should realize that as they're going through this, they don't have to keep blinders on just to fit the current charter. They could look forward to what the revision committee and the recommendations that may be as they're going through all of this work already. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Excellent point.
Do you have any comments on what you found in Allegheny County? Because they're very comparable to our situation in population and so forth.
I guess what I'd say is that we've found a number of things. The rules and procedures document that they have is very good, and there are many sections that I think that will end up with appropriate modifications be applicable here. My impression, however, is that the scope of work that the Allegheny County government engages in is much smaller, in fact, than what Cuyahoga County's responsibilities are. And it's also my impression that the council itself has through their charter, more prescribed, smaller responsibilities than what our charter has provided. So it's not exactly equivalent. I understand when you talk about the economy and the nature of the areas, but in terms of the government structure, my impression is that it's a little different.
Hi. Kevin Moran again. I was just another suggestion. I don't know if this is the appropriate venue for it. I was going to also go to the information technology subgroup and recommend this, and that's just towards the goal of public outreach and transparency and accountability. I would just urge that everything goes on the web, not just minutes and conversations, but also purchasing and a very, very detailed accounting. I don't know if you ever watched The Daily Show, but England actually did this on a national level. And when entrepreneurs took this information, they put it out in a very open fashion and put together applications where you can go online and see every government decision that's going to impact you and the elected officials. But also when you had 1,000 or 100,000 people looking at this data, they found one guy had gotten approval several years before to have a moat put in and around his castle, and no one had ever seen this. And they're finding out. That's why it's on the Daily Show. It's so outrageous the things that they'd found. Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Russo, everyone else got a second round. Are you all set, or? Okay. Please.
My name is Leah Santasuso, and I just have a quick question for you. What do the county transition work groups need from members of the public, and what are some ways that we can get involved? Thank you.
Great. Well, yeah, I can say from the public engagement work group perspective, you being here is what we want most, because we feel that the process has to be open and has to be situated in a way that allows for public comment, questions, suggestions, etc. We are always encouraging people to visit the website and sign up if they still want to work with some of the respective committees. That's always wonderful. And just continue to hold us accountable. I mean, let us know what else we could be doing that would make this process more acceptable and more helpful to you and anyone else throughout the county, because this is it's a monumental task, but it's a very, very important part of our history, and we all have an opportunity to help shape what the future county government will look like. So again, from our public engagement perspective, having the public engaged is the most important piece. And I'll defer to my colleagues here.
Have you signed up on the website?
Yeah. Yes, you can sign up on the website. And I hope people here have looked at the website. It's just got a wealth of information. We have tried diligently to keep that updated with information about meetings and agendas and meeting summaries and other documents that might be helpful to people, including videotapes of forums and other activities. I simply want to express my great admiration and thanks to the thousands of people who signed up to volunteer and who have been showing up at these meetings. It's been edifying. I have said on a number of occasions as a county employee, as a county employee who's been doing this full time since about November, this has been an alternatingly fascinating and frustrating process. But in the end, I think it will lead us to it's a great adventure, and I hope that I continue to try to elevate the conversation. I don't want cynicism to lead the day in this. I know that there are concerns about the way this county has been run. I know that those are legitimate concerns. And those of us who care about where we live and the people we work with and the communities we serve want this to be a better place. And we're all working towards that end. So thank you.
I also wanted to mention that when we did have our county council planning forum a couple weeks ago, that is on the website, and the interest about it is that we did have one of the county framers and also a gentleman from Summit County come in and speak about, you know, what they thought in terms of, you know, one county who has that type of government and the framers on different aspects of the charter. So if anyone hasn't seen that, it really is, gives you a lot of information and kind of how we need to process and go forward. And thank you to the Information Services Center staff who did that production as well as today, and will continue, I'm sure, with putting all of these things on the website. And just to say, I heard it was an internet sensation because we had like 400 hits. So thank you.
It's gone viral.
Other questions, comments? I do want to stress, as co-chair of public engagement, to some of the comments that have already been made, that it's perfectly, I'm perfectly fine with hearing criticism, feedback, questions, comments, what have you, because that's the only way we're going to ensure that we do this the right way. And I just think about our committee. You know, Andrew Whitehead, wave Andrew, from Parma here, Ray Rosenberg, Jonathan Shanes, there's others. These are individuals that came to every one of our meetings that had a lot to say. We weren't defensive about that. In fact, we thought that their suggestions were so brilliant that we asked all of them to join the public engagement work group, and they did. And I tell you, they are some of our most dedicated volunteers. And that's what this process is all about. It's not about, you know, me standing up here saying that I have all the answers. It's about doing all that we can do as a committee. And the same with, I miss Dr. Brutney from Cleveland State, but the same idea. He came to meetings, asked enough good questions that we said, why don't you help us? So we really do believe that we are smarter. There is something to be said about the wisdom of crowds. The more people that can help us, tell us where we're not doing so well, give us ideas. And a lot of the questions that many of you posed tonight, I view as suggestions. Because if we didn't have the answer, it's certainly something that we would take back and discuss. So I made some notes on a couple of areas that I thought were very compelling questions. So I'll get off my soapbox and ask if there are any other final thoughts, comments, questions. Dr. Brutney, did you? Yes, I do want to remind you to complete the exit survey form. It's very brief, very easy, and you can drop that right in the box on the way out, the purple box and the white box in the back. Seeing that there doesn't appear to be any other questions, I did want to again thank all of you for being here first and foremost. We're all very busy, and it's always exciting to see so many people take the time out to want to see their government, you know, in a better place. Is Mike still around the corner? Mike, would you please come out and take a bow? Mike has been the technical guru that has provided microphones, and yes, thank you. Set up our PowerPoint, our microphones, everything, and we really appreciate that, Mike, and again, all of your colleagues here at TriC. Please, again, stay posted of future forums. Not only public engagement happens to be doing forums. As you've heard, this group did one a couple of weeks ago. A lot of the other committees are doing the same. We would just encourage you to stay involved, informed, engaged, and know that we're a resource, and we're here to help and to provide as much information as we can. So with that, I guess it's safe to say good night, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks for your time.